and we'll be pulling up the live results of what people have been put in. It's an accumulative live result for us. So this is creating a word cloud based on what people have put in. We're using this accumulatively, so you can see like at the moment we've got 30 people that have contributed to this cloud. And with the diversity of the words that we can see in there, we can see that change is very different for everyone. And it has common themes, so like what's bigger has been like named more frequent, and we can see like a lot of changes around innovation. We find it is an opportunity for progress. It is also inevitable, and it causes disruption to our normal organization. We also see the downside of change, which is like things like loss. It's risky, it causes stress. What else do we have here? It can be scary. So change really is a multitude of things. But for our context, it's most important to understand that we're differentiating between individual change. So when we individuals going through a process of changing our behaviors versus an organizational change, which is when your organization, accumulative, all the individuals within changing the way that they work. So it's the behavioral change within the organization that has to take place. This is another little questionnaire. What I find interesting is that communicating effectively as a leader, that is also something that's very embedded in traditional leadership training already. So we've got a good level there, as well as like motivating oneself and others. It's really interesting to see that we're quite confident when it comes to leading by example and value-driven leadership. But there's probably more challenges around coaching and mentoring others, and conflict resolution and having difficult conversations. And when we're thinking about change happening, those are probably also the two contributing factors to like stress that happens for leaders that have to lead change. We might be a very strong leader, but as we are going through a cultural change journey, we might experience a lot of inward-facing focus because we are going through a change ourselves, that we are not able to really deal with difficult conversations as much, or not really able to have the capacity of mentoring and coaching others through change at the same time. So those skills are really important for leading change, and it obviously builds on like pre-existing leadership capabilities there as well. Okay. Like if you think about your own context, like what you see as your biggest challenge in making cultural change, just think. And we've got 4 different options that we'd like you to rank just to get a bit of a feeling. And if you feel like neither of those options are appropriate, you might want to give Sam a little note in the chat and say you know what, you actually missed out the most important one from my perspective, because that allows us to learn a little bit as well. Let's see what is, yeah. What I can see here already is that there is obviously something that can be solved, which is nice. So if our biggest challenge is that we don't know how to do it and we don't have the right tools to lead change, then obviously training and upskilling people and learning from people that are doing it quite well is a great solution to that. Habits are proved deeply in our industry is probably one of the things that I can see as an external quite well as well, because it is it's an old traditional industry, and we're now asking for quite a massive cultural shift in the way we approach things. And we also, I'll get a little bit more to that later, but we're also let me talk about that later. It fits a bit better when we're getting into the 5 things. But changing habits is a difficult one, and I'll like to bring that up when I talk about one of the 7 reasons. So ask me anything change related. How do we get the leaders to understand that they need to change leadership skills? That's a very good one, because you're thinking back to the point with the different silos and building bridges. The biggest benefit for your organization probably comes when you do actually upskill most of your leaders in change leadership, enough leaders to mentor and coach others at least, and don't stop at a certain level. So you probably want to make sure it goes from executives all the way to frontline. And we traditionally find that there's a real issue in like getting to see people the need for change leadership skills when it's elective, as opposed to someone says like you should do this course. And I think there's two aspects probably why that is. A, it's the common, A is probably about like a lack of understanding what is change leadership and why is it different to normal leadership, and why is it not change management and I can just get someone else to do it, I'm already busy enough. So some of it is going to be educational about people being able to tangibly see what is part of a change leadership skill set. And I think the leadership framework that we have is probably beneficial for a conversation around that. And then the second aspect is the general conversation that we find a lot with leaders, which is around like, why should I do training that's not mandatory in the first place? So there's different types of personalities. Some people love learning new things and they want to do every training in the world, and then there's others that are too busy, too caught up with what they're doing to take time out to do your training. And I think that comes down to developing the understanding and the learning culture within your organization of the benefits of training. And I think change leadership training has a return on investment of $5.7 for every dollar spent. So as an executive, if I make ROI decisions, this should be a no-brainer. Every dollar I spend into people training to be better change leaders, I'll get like almost $6 back, right? So a lot of it is going to have those conversations. I'd say probably embedded into the normal performance review cycle as an option when you have growth conversations, and that would help because a lot of leaders aren't even aware of what they can learn. How can we transfer these skills to entry level or to the entry level of the organization? So to every level, So I think there's probably an element of getting a generic base level of people across the skills. So you'd want to start like creating a common language between your leaders around like change leadership tools and language. And then you want to create a trickle effect. And for that, we like to use change advocates. So that allows you to not necessarily having to develop complete change leaders, but giving people a basic understanding of what change does to the person and how do you lead and advocate for it. So that just creates more conversations and a broader footprint across the organization. And I think it's also important to have different types of delivery that allows people to self-serve according to their own availabilities. I don't know if we have any other questions. Put on the spot a bit. One more. Usually, how long does it take to complete a change leadership training? Okay, so I think a training itself could be done fairly quick, so it depends on which type of training you're choosing. We offer face-to-face and online trainings, of which an online training can be done within 3 months. 3 months of access. The course duration can be broken into micro-learning sessions, but overall it's a 2-hour time frame per course. So it's very snippeted, or could be done within 2 hours in general. For the entire change leadership skill range, there's 6 modules available. if you do it in-house as a workshop series, you need a minimum of 3 days intensive training. But probably what you'd like to know more is like, how do you actually uplift the maturity of change leadership? And I'd say like it's a good half a year to a year until you will see an impact on the individual's growth journey. And so there needs to be more than just a spot training. There needs to be an embedding of the tools, which we do. All our training has like a 1 month, 3 months, and 12 months a touch point with the people to like ultimately get to a business impact, a business benefit impact in the end. So hopefully that answers that question. Beautiful. If we do not have any more questions, or if we do have more questions, I maybe just give 1 more minute. But if we don't, I'll jump into just quickly telling you a little bit more about us, or case studies in particular. No more questions? So next time I want like a 20. Okay, let's just jump into the next part there, which is just a little bit about our change leadership capabilities and a particular case study I'd like to share with you. So